Daniel Reed was still not used to awakening when the sun sets. In his mind, darkness was truly the time of the damned, when evil was carried out, hidden from the eyes of the common people. But now there was no crying over what was beyond changing. Father Michael taught him for several nights about the world of the Nosferatu, how they fed, where they hid, who was atop the food chain, their houses and laws. The priest was amused that Daniel had discovered him and always said that he expected great many things from him. The night was cold and almost without light from the moon or stars. Daniel stared at the streets of Dreadford, the smell of blood refusing to leave his nostrils. He remembered what had brought him here. His introspection was interrupted by the cause, Father Michael, who stood beside him.
There you are, my child. I have a task for you. One of my dear friends is in need of your abilities.
I am not at the service of monsters for evil purposes. I am sure there are plenty of detectives under the power of vampires, if not the entire police force.
I already told you. Sarah was an unfortunate mistake. You yourself know the thirst now. How it burns inside you and purges everything else until only itself remains. I lost control. Soon you will too take a life you didn't mean to.
Daniel knew the thirst his sire was talking about. Drinking blood was abhorrent, but if he did not do so, the cursed thirst would only grow until it was too much to bear.
You are better served now than being a private detective, wasting your time following around unfaithful wives and husbands, my child. And I am not going to ask you to do evil. My friend and ally Pierre Dupont needs your help to find and save a young woman from an evil traitor of House Strix.
Like you helped Sarah and myself?
If Dupont is right, the girl is already a Nosferatu and a prisoner. No one needs to die or get hurt, you just need to find her and help her escape.
Why are you and Dupont concerned with this vampire girl's well-being?
As I said before, our house is divided by the power struggle between three Nosferatu. This one, Yelena, is a dangerous one.
Daniel Reed didn't know what made him agree. Was it the worry about a young woman's safety? Was he still trying to save Sarah? Or was it the chance to escape Father Michael's litany about becoming a better monster? This job reeked of politics. One of the worst things about being a vampire was the goddamn politics. Everything had an angle, favors, considerations, and a lot of interests. Father Michael asked Daniel to find the whereabouts of a woman named Jessica Lewis. She was a painter who was enjoying her breakthrough moment when suddenly she vanished. The detective started his investigation with her apartment. He was amazed how his body functioned differently now. He could jump higher and move faster. A few questions to a janitor, and the man answered everything without second thought, like helping was of the utmost concern. When he was investigating Sarah's case, it was hard to obtain any information from people in this town. They were like oysters, closed and protecting their pearls. But now, with a smile, they would confess their most terrible secrets. Daniel had no trouble getting access to her place and started looking for any information on her whereabouts. Jessica had several arts degrees and certificates, a quick research, and Daniel found out that since she was a child, she had applied for and completed many scholarships. All of them were offered by the same philanthropist, a famous art critic named Manfred Voigt. It seemed Jessica had an admirer, or at least her work had one. If what Father Michael told him was right, this Manfred was a Nosferatu like himself. A child of Yelena, Dupont's rival for control over House Strix. Jessica's schedule had a private appointment with him in a luxury atelier, her last entry. Satisfied, Daniel left her apartment back into the night and started to formulate a plan. The studio was dark and had no easy opening. He decided to stalk it for a few nights using binoculars to look inside, but realized he didn't need it anymore. His eyesight worked better than the tool, a gift from the eagle. Manfred Voigt visited every night and left an hour before dawn. On the second night of observation, the detective saw Jessica. She was distressed and seemed to be always on the edge when Manfred was around, and she, like him, was dead. From what Daniel could gather, she had been turned into a Nosferatu and was being held here against her will. His next step was inevitable. He had to break into the atelier and rescue her. The detective took some time to prepare everything. He called Father Michael and asked for a place for the girl to be brought to. The priest arranged with Dupont for such a place. An old church would be well prepared to house the girl for as long as she needed. Daniel made Father Michael assure him more than once that this girl would not be killed like Sarah. Of course, he did not lose the opportunity to tell Daniel that she was in fact already dead, but the detective only let the matter drop after the priest agreed she would not be destroyed, as it is the parlance among Nosferatu. Daniel Reed procured a vehicle, checked for his pistol, made sure he had his stake available. He looked at it, and it reminded him of Sarah. He made this stake to avenge her, and now he was a monster, like the one who took her life. He realized how much he hated Father Michael, and how much he started to hate himself. Daniel would wait for near the sunrise before he made his move. He would only go in after Manfred left. He remembered his last confrontation with a vampire, and he did not want to leave anything to chance. Even being a vampire himself, he would prefer to avoid any direct engagement if possible. Daniel kept vigil the whole night, and an hour before dawn, as usual, he saw Manfred leaving the atelier, going into his own car and driving away. Before he moved in, Daniel felt it. The thirst was agonizing and deep. It felt like his own soul was dry. The craving for blood was disgusting for him, but undeniable nevertheless. The detective had prepared for it, and he took a small rat from a cage near his observation spot. For long moments, Daniel stared into the rat uncomfortable, but in the end the thirst always won, and he bit it and took its blood. The taste was insipid, but at least the urging relented for now. Without losing more time, he went into the studio. He came well prepared to deal with the door, and in no time he was inside the dark corridors and galleries filled with paintings. He already knew more or less the interior of the building from his days observing it. He found Jessica sitting alone into a windowless room deep into the building. She was painting with complete focus and was startled when he arrived. Daniel felt the smell of blood somewhere near. She had fed recently, and it was not upon rats. The smell almost distracted Daniel. But the painter stood up wearily, and like a cornered beast, she seemed ready to pounce. There it was, the second time he was facing a vampire. Just to make sure, he touched the stake under his jacket.
Calm down, my name is Daniel Reed. I am a friend and a Nosferatu as well.
The girl did not seem pleased.
The man who did this to me is an enemy of the man who did this to you. I was sent to find you and take you out of his grasp. If you come with me, we are going to a safe place.
A flash of doubt crossed the girl's face. Daniel could see she wanted to go away, but she was still not sure about his offer. She made a movement to go with him, but stopped.
What if going with you is worse? I don't know who you are and who is your maker.
I have been turned only very recently. Listen, Jessica, the sun is almost up. We need to go, it's now or never. I don't think that there will be another opportunity if you let this one pass, but I won't force you to come with me.
The girl was roused from her stupor by his words.
All right, Mr. Reed, I want to get away from this madman.
They left the room urgently. 2 security officers tried to stop them, but Daniel used his supernatural charm to dissuade them from doing anything. They got to his car without any further trouble and left for the church. For a while there, they were silent until she noticed the dead rat on the back.
Why do you have a dead rat in your backseat?
She asked, disgusted, taking her hand to cover her mouth.
For feeding.
He answered without taking his eyes from the road.
That's disgusting. You can catch a disease doing that.
I know my sire warned me. I bought it from a pet store.
He was still not used to referring to Father Michael like that.
Why don't you feed on humans like the rest of us? It is dreadful, but a lot better than this. This is nasty.
Because I am not a monster.
He finally looked at her, and shame made her quiet.
We're here.
Daniel parked the car in front of an old colonial church. Pierre Dupont was at the front waiting for them. He looked young and fresh, no pale at all. His hair was well cut and his mustache was well groomed. He exalted perfume and was dressed in a red, custom-made Italian suit.
Parfait, you have arrived. Thank you so much for this, Daniel. You cannot imagine how delighted I am with your success.
Thank you, sir.
Come, mon ami. I must reward you.
Dupont opened the door, letting them in.
There is no need, sir. I am glad I could help the young miss.
Nonsense, I insist.
The Frenchman gently pushed him in, and he obliged.
Anita,
The host called and a French maid responded.
Oui, monsieur?
please accommodate Lady Jessica to her quarters. Go on, mon amour. Refresh yourself. We have much to discuss, but you must be petrified being held hostage by that tacky, inelegant monster. I'll be right there with you.
Jessica felt safe and acquiesced to the request, leaving Daniel and Dupont alone. The host excused himself for a moment and came back with glasses of wine filled with blood.
Here.
He offered a glass to Daniel.
No, sir, thank you, but I would rather not.
Nonsense. This is an exquisite harvest from a great blood sommelier named Jean-Luc, a great friend of mine. This is art in a glass, unlike that dreaded industrial blood that comes from the rapture. Those kids have no taste. You will not regret it.
I don't drink human blood, sir. I must not accept.
Daniel refused, feeling embarrassed to his own surprise.
I understand, mon ami. I too hate the primitive task of biting necks. So out of taste, eh? We are not monsters.
He said in a supernaturally charming manner. Daniel felt as if he needed to fight for his will to prevail, but it didn't. He took the glass and drank. To his surprise, it tasted like nothing he ever tried before. He could not only taste how sweet it was, but he could taste happiness. The happiness mixed with surprise and excitement of being accepted to an Ivy League university. It tasted like graduating top of your class. It tasted like falling in love with a drop of a sunny day in the south of France. When he realized the glass was empty, and Dupont was looking at him satisfied, and for some reason, Daniel was happy to see him that way.
Now go, mon ami. Father Michael must be worried about you. Send my regards.
Daniel thanked for the drink and left, as if mesmerized, and when he closed the door, Dupont stared at his wrist. It was gnashed with a little blood. He made his wound heal, and a malicious smile grew on his face as he turned to the stairs to follow Jessica and the maid.